welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 6 of Vlogmas. Today I'm in my Christmas pudding top and my very cute little reindeer bow. So today's video is one that I have been wanting to film for a really long time, and every time I've seen people say I'm new to planning, what do? I have no idea where to start. And I think back to me in February 2016 following BuzzFeed articles and just having no idea what I was doing. And I've always wished that there were more videos out there which talked about this topic. So here I am making it. It seemed like the perfect time to make this video as part of my Vlogmas setup. So the aim of today's video is to talk about anything if you're new to planning. So I'm going to be talking about the different types of planners, some of the decisions you might have to go through, where you can buy this stuff from. I've also spoken to the amazing community of friends that I've made through this planning journey and got them to give some feedback as well, which has been great because one of the best things about being in this community is my amazing friends, and I'm really glad that they have contributed to this video, so I will be giving some of their insights as well. But hopefully you'll find this video useful as a way of just being like, okay, where do I start? And anyone who's not new to planning, if you think this video would be useful for other people and you see people asking questions about the community, I hope that you will be happy to share this video as a way to help introduce these people into our wonderful planning community. The other thing that I want to say is obviously there's no way I can cover absolutely everything. I've tried to comment the things that I think would be most useful, and I'll try and remember to list what those are in the description down below so that you can at least get an idea of whether this would be right for you. But I'm trying to think back to what I would have found useful to know 4 years ago, nearly 5, when I joined this community. So I am sort of trying to target this at basically having no knowledge about how to go about purchasing this stuff or what type of planner might be right for you. That's kind of the area I'm trying to target on. So hopefully you'll find this useful, but there's no way that I can cover everything. If anyone else does think of anything else that they think would be useful, please go ahead and comment that below. Let's make this a place that people can find out loads of really helpful information about joining this community. First thing I say before I flip my camera around and you just see my hands is that the main piece of advice that I can give anyone who's new to planning is don't compare yourself to other people. And I know that you will, because I've been there. I still do it now, nearly 5 years on. I still look at other people's planners and think, I really wish mine looked like that. I still get sucked into buying kits because I think, wow, it looks amazing in that person's planner. I know it's not my style, but they've made it amazing. Why can't I do that? Trust me, you're never going to be happy in this community until you get comfortable with your own style. I do so much less comparing myself to other people now, and I'm so much happier as a result. My planners are so much more functional for me. I'm in a much better place. I plan spreads that I think really reflect my personality, and it's so much better than the basically 2 years I spent not really knowing what planner I wanted to be in. I own so many planners, which is actually helpful for this video because it means I do have one of everything to show you, but I probably shouldn't be in that place. I should have spent more time trying to figure out what was right for me rather than trying to compare myself to other people. So I know that you're going to do it, but the quicker you can stop doing it, trust me, the happier you're going to be. Okay, let's talk about choosing a planner first. So this is ultimately the first step to achieving this infamous planner piece, and most of us have never achieved it, just so you know, or we think we have and then we get bored. And I am that person, hands up. So you are likely going to change your planner style a few times over your planning journey. If you're anything like me, you'll change it a million times. And for many of us, this is normal, but you could definitely be more organized about it than I've been. So doing your research is going to make choosing a planner a lot more bearable. So one of the major things you'll need to consider is how much you want to see on each spread of your planner. So it's pretty common in the planner community to use weekly spreads, which is what I'm showing here, and that's what I use. And so you can see a week at a glance here when the planner lies flat. This for me is just what works best. I really like having a weekly overview. A lot of planners will also have a monthly spread. Let me flip to that. So here is an example of a monthly, and this is another way that you can make a note of your plans. This is something that's worked really functionally for me this year, that I have just in pen. I don't actually decorate my monthlies. In pen, I just write in my plans in advance, actually in my other planner, not in this one, but I write them in, and that's worked really well. Some people do like to have more space for each day. So if you think that sounds like you could consider a daily planner. I don't use a daily, but if you check out Julie's plans or Plan with Lakin on YouTube, they both use daily planners, so definitely have a look at their channels. But basically it's got, you know, it can be all different sizes. You can have space for to-do lists, you can have space for maybe your top 3 for meal planning. If you like to have things in much more detail on a daily basis, then a daily planner could definitely be one for you to consider. There are a few different types of weekly planner spreads in terms of how the layout's displayed. So a common one you're going to see is vertical planning, which is what I'm showing here. And this is the one that you will have likely seen in a lot of the famous Instagram accounts. I don't know if this is as much of a thing in the community as it was when I joined, but famous planners people was a big thing. I mean, famous is, you know, we're not like actors or kind of, you know, really crazy famous people, but famous people in our community, the most popular people, were often at the time using a vertical. I think the community is a lot more diverse now, but you're still probably likely to see a lot of the accounts with a lot of followers are probably using a vertical spread. So vertical planners have columns for each day, and so you can make note of your plans or your to-do lists. You know, you don't necessarily have to sticker them like I do. It might be that you just want to make it really functional and have the different sections for to-do lists. Some of them won't have these headers in the middle. It would just be one long column. So every vertical planner does look slightly different, and that's something you just need to bear in mind when you're picking your planner. Sometimes weekly spreads have times for each column, which is known as an hourly spread. So I've never really used hourly spreads. I'm actually thinking of doing it for this week, but it's not something I've used so far. But if you check out Tilly Journals, one of my really good friends on YouTube and on Instagram, Tilly is like the queen of the hourly planning. So definitely make sure that you have a look at her Plan With Me's in particular, because she talks a lot about how she does it there. And then my friend Natalie, who's Raw Plans on YouTube and Instagram, she uses an hourly planner, but it's different to Tilly's. So Tilly's will look quite similar to this, but with hourly, whereas Natalie uses a completely different type of planner called a passion planner, but it is an hourly planning style as well. So definitely go and have a look at her channel. It's a very unique way of planning, and Natalie's amazing at it, so definitely go and check out her stuff. So another really popular layout is horizontal, which is one I'm showing here. This is, I would say, much less featured in the community, but horizontal is basically where your plans are going across rather than down. That's the difference. They come in all different sizes and that kind of thing, but this is sort of what you would be looking at in terms of a horizontal spread. I think choosing between a vertical and a horizontal layout really depends on how you like to read information. So I used to really like the way I read horizontal information with it going across, but my work planner, I just use Outlook and it's vertical, it's in columns, and so I decided that actually I read things vertically more than I do horizontally, so that's why I've switched. But every time I get these planners out for Vlogmas videos, I'm like, oh, I really miss horizontal planning, but I don't think I can go back. But yeah, so it's to do with how you like to read information, I think, is the most important thing. Obviously, if you pick a daily, it's because you like to read the information daily. So that's something to consider. So another consideration is then how the planner is bound. So probably the most popular in the community is the Coil. I'm really sorry, my ring lights really shine on this cover, but this is a Coil. So, and it's my personal favorite. And the reason that it's my favorite is because you can bend the planner back on itself. So like this. So the downside to a Coil, and Anna and I have talked about this a lot recently, is writing on a Wednesday in a vertical, because if you're right-handed, the Coil gets in the way. If you're left-handed, I think it would probably be Thursday that's annoying for you, because the Coil is banging into your hands, so it's a bit of a pain. So that is the downside, but I really like the chunkiness of flipping it on itself. Another downside to Coil planners is that when you get towards the end of a year, it's way chunkier on this side than it is on this side, so the position of it is a little bit odd. So there are two different types of Coil. I don't know what this one is called, but this is my preferred, where it's just kind of one wire, and then the other one is like a wire O Coil. So the Moxie Life planner is like this. I don't have one as an example because my Moxie Life isn't here yet. Oh no, this is, no, that's not really a wire O. Well, this is a bit like a wire O, I think. So I'll show you this. So this is a sticker album, but I think this is a bit more like a wire O. So it has multiple wires, and the Coil is like quite easily, you could take stuff off it very easily. So I would call that a wire O. Another popular option is discs. So the Happy Planner is probably the most popular for this style. The reason discs are popular is that they're really flexible. So everything comes off really easily. For me, it's too easy, which is why I don't like discs. And I think they need to be really chunky to not be odd. This one has no inserts in it right now, so it looks even weirder. But yeah, for me, it wasn't my preferred, so I did use it for a while. But I know that a lot of people are big fans. They're very flexible. You can
take pages out really easily, move them around, so it's quite easy to have sections, which in a Coil planner it is not easy to move things around. You can do it, but you have to be really careful. You have to really think about putting things back on the Coil in the right order, so I personally don't do it, but you can, it's just tough. Whereas in a disc planner, it's really easy to just bring the page out and put it in a different section. Rings are another really popular option, and again, a very flexible option because you can take the paper out really easily. So all of the stuff in here is really customizable. You would just open the clasp, move all the paper out, and then just put it back in the order you wanted it, or you can turn it over and do that halfway through. So rings are a really flexible option. And the other thing that is good about rings is that you can have things like dashboards, you can have things like dividers that can easily make different sections and really pretty stuff. So rings are definitely very pretty planners. That's why I always end up buying rings even though I don't use them, because I just think they're so stunning. Another thing I really like about ring planners is that they have pockets, so they're really easy to decorate. So you can see here, this is my like Ariel themed planner, although that's Joy, but maybe I could show you my Belle one. So here we have my Belle planner. So again, I kind of theme all my ring planners after different Disney princesses basically, but yeah, and that is something that I miss about using a Coil, is that the decorative nature of rings is gorgeous and definitely one of their selling points. I suppose I should also say you could use that really functionally. I never have, I've always just been decorative, but you definitely could be functional about how you use that. And this is a Kikki K planner, which are not really available in the UK now, but it came with pads that you could actually use it more functionally than me just covering it with a load of stuff. So another pretty popular option is more of a book bound style. So, you know, more traditionally it's got a spine and maybe looks a bit like a book or a journal. These are great for sturdiness, and they're usually very portable because most people probably don't have an A4 one. They'd usually have an A5 or maybe a smaller one. But the downside is obviously they're not flexible. So you can't rip pages out of here and move them to a different section. And it kind of depends on the one you get, but they may not always lie as flat. For me, lying flat is very important, but obviously that may not bother you. I also like to be able to fold it back on itself in order to write, and you can't really do that in a book bound. So that's why sometimes they don't work for me, but this one is stunning. This is an Artron Olive. If you're interested, they are very cute. Finally, there's also TN. So this is like the one planner style I don't own. So you'll need to go in and have a research of those if you're interested in TN. But these are basically multiple notebooks that you put through strings. So if you think of a rings planner, in place of the rings is just strings, and then you put the notebooks through the string. And they are flexible in that you can have multiple notebooks within the cover that you're using for the TN. So I know that they're a popular option in the community. So the next thing to consider is the size of planner that you want. So the big ones that you're likely to see a lot of us use, these are 7x9 planners. They are quite big. They're bigger than A5. The benefit of this size is they have loads of space. That's what I like about them, but it could be a bit overwhelming if you're new to planning. To be honest, it's hard to comment on every planner size because there is definitely a huge range. So once you pick a type, you may need to do more research into the different sizes each of those have. To be honest, it's hard to comment on every planner size because there is a huge range, and obviously there's so many different shops you could buy them from. So I'm only really covering the main ones. It's difficult to cover every single one. So once you know what sort of bound type you have, whether you want coil or rings or discs, etc., then you might need to see what different sizes those brands have because that could make a huge difference for you in terms of what planner size that you would then get. So for example, the disc planner, the Happy Planner brand, they have loads of different sizes of planners. So the one that I showed is kind of the 7x9 size, but I know that they do some smaller sizes. There's the mini Happy Planner, so you'll definitely find lots of different sizes. In rings, they also have a huge range of sizes. Common ones are A5 and personal, so I have several of both. So A5 is good if you like space, but it is a bit smaller than the amount of space you get in 7x9, and then personal, it's a lot thinner, so it's good if you like small planning, or it would actually make a really good daily planner. Having a personal planner, it's much more portable. It's one of the most portable planners I've ever had, so that's also a plus of a personal. I also have a B6, and this is a bit like a TN in that it has a string, but it is actually a rings planner. But TNs are often closed with strings rather than with a popper. This is quite a unique size. I think that B6 means something slightly different to quite a lot of shops, but it is a really cute size. It's it's that sort of in-betweeny size if you quite like that sort of thing. And this one would be very portable. It's just, for me, this size was still too small. The other thing to say about buying a rings planner is that they may or may not come with inserts in them. So a coil planner is going to come with the paper already. A disc planner is likely to come with the paper already, so it might dictate the style that you're going to use. But inserts, which is what we would call what comes in a ring planner, sometimes the planner will come with them, sometimes it won't. So that may be something you want to consider, that actually that can give you flexibility. I've bought some planners from Paper Chase before where I haven't liked the inserts and I swap them for inserts I buy on Etsy or wherever that I like more than the ones that come with the planner. So that gives you some additional flexibility in a rings, but it's worth checking to see if it comes with inserts, because if you don't want to buy extras, obviously you need to make sure the planner's not just a cover. Another popular size for smaller planners is an A6, but I don't have a planner like that. But if you look at Tilly Journals, if you have a look at Tilly's channel, she is releasing some A6 planners, and she mostly uses for budgeting, but so you might want smaller things in an A6 or a very portable size, but A6 is just too small for me, so I don't use that one. Something I also want to touch on here is around paper quality. So unless you've had some planners, you may not even really know what paper quality you want, but the more serious you get into this hobby, the more paper quality matters to you. You will probably like thick paper, and then you may have a preference over bright white paper or a slightly more creamy texture. So the two 7x9 planners that I have, the Recollections, which is from America, the paper on that is bright white. The paper that is in the Erin Condren, which is another popular one, but there are some issues around Erin Condren that I'll talk about later, those are a much creamier texture, I would say. But the thickness of the paper quality is likely to bother you even more, because if you want to use pen, you're probably going to write on it, and sometimes if the paper quality is a bit thin, then your pen will shadow through, so you'll be able to see the pen on the back. So you might see people doing pen tests for planners on YouTube, and that's why they're doing it. They're checking to see if there's any shadowing on the back. If you're going to buy an expensive planner, I highly recommend that you watch review videos on YouTube, because the review is likely going to talk about the quality of the paper, a pen test, they're going to talk about the colour, they're going to talk about the quality of different areas of the planner, so they're really useful. If you're going to invest in a planner, I absolutely recommend watching a planner review. So now we've talked about the major types of planners available, let's talk about where to shop. So I'm going to focus this a little bit more for people who are in the UK, because that's where I live, but also I think there's a lot less content out there for us UK planners. The planner community is much bigger in the US, and so there are many more people on YouTube and on Instagram who are US planners. So I'm going to try and focus this a bit more on the UK, but I'm going to be talking about products available in the US, so I do still think it's relevant for everyone, but I think sometimes us UK planners maybe need a little bit more love. So the major brands for planners that you're likely to hear a lot about are Erin Condren for coil planners, and then the Happy Planner, which is the disc, and they're both based in the US. Now, there was some controversy earlier in the year around Erin Condren and Black Lives Matter, and that's kind of a separate conversation. You could definitely do your research about that, but a lot of people have decided to no longer shop with Erin Condren, and that's not the case for everybody, and there's a kind of few different things, but some people have made that decision, which is absolutely fine, and it's most important that you make a decision that is right for you. What that does mean, and it's actually a good thing that's come out of this, because it was a really difficult time in the community, but the good thing that's come out of it is that there are more smaller shops that are releasing planners now, which is amazing, and there are so many more planners in the US that honestly I'm never going to get my hands on but there are loads. So if you're based in the US, you're really lucky. There is a huge array of planners that are available to you, or if you're in the UK and you're happy to have stuff shipped over here, but there's no way I could touch on every planner that's available in the community anymore, because there are so many, which is fantastic. Another major coil planner that's available in the US is the Recollections Planner, which is what I have for my memory planner. And there's also the Moxie Life, which is a much smaller planner, but it is hugely growing in popularity because some major planner YouTubers have been sharing about it recently. So I bought one for 2021. I'm so excited. I don't think it's going to be here in time for January because of delays in shipping. And that's the downside of being in the UK. But I'm really excited to have it. But if you just like Google Moxie Life, or if you have a look on Judy's plans, Plan with Lakin, Darian plans, all of those guys have a Moxie Life, so you can have a look at that. Other popular shops that I have never tried, but there's Plum Paper. Both Judy's plans and Plan with Lakin use daily planners from Plum Paper, very big in the US. Printpression is another popular one. I think is quite big for TN and rings planners. I've never had one, but definitely one to check out, particularly if you're in the US. And then Lights Planner Action, which again I've never had, but Plannerface has one, so you can always have a chat with Anna. And then popular rings options is Aura Estelle, so the Aura Estelle Cloud, which I don't have because they are pretty expensive and they'd be a lot to ship over here. But Scribble Prints Co has Aura Estelle, so definitely check out hers if you're interested in seeing that. And I think Kirsten Plans has one as well, who works for SPC. And then there's also Pell Studio, which I have this B6 is Pell Studio, though I see her stuff mentioned a lot less now. So as I said, there are honestly loads more in the US. This is just a handful. Some of these shops do ship to the UK, but it's quite expensive to ship to the UK even as it stands. But customs and VAT are changing from January, and shopping anywhere outside of the UK is likely going to incur you even bigger custom charges on top of whatever you buy. So if you can shop closer to home, I would recommend it, especially if you're new to the community, because it's a lot of money to spend if you're going to buy from the US. So some UK shops have released planners recently, and I recommend you check out those for sure. So Tilly Journals, my lovely friend Tilly, has released a huge different range of planners, so definitely check out hers. Harriet Wright Designs is releasing one within the next couple of weeks. Papershire has more of like a journal type, I think, but if that planner style works for you, Papershire has one. So it's definitely worth joining their Facebook groups or following their Instagram so you can find out more about those. And it's also worth joining D-stash groups, so planner D-stash groups, because people might sell on planners that they don't want anymore for cheaper, which is a great way for you to try them. I would also recommend the Passion Planner. I'm not actually sure where Passion Planner is based, though I have had one from Amazon before, but I think you can also definitely shop directly with Passion Planner. So if you go follow Natalie Ra Plans on Instagram and YouTube, she'll tell you all you need to know. She also has a code that you can use, so if you're interested in that style of planner, I would definitely recommend having a chat with her. They have a few different sizes. They have a big weekly size, which is what Natalie uses. They do also have a daily planner. They're a book bound one that lays flat. I actually had one in 2019. I do think they're really lovely. It was just I was in like a funny place with planning, and book bound style just doesn't work for me, but I did have one. I think I threw it out. I don't think I have it now. But I would recommend definitely checking out Natalie's channel so you can find out a bit more about those, because she's super creative and productive with it, and it really works. So something I want to touch on here is that it can get really overwhelming at this point with all the planners that are available. And a lot of the planners I mentioned are a bit more on the pricey side, to be honest. So if you're new to planning and you're not sure if it's going to be something you'll stick with, I'd recommend buying a much cheaper planner and starting there. WH Smith's, Paperchase, other UK stores have great planner options. WH Smith in particular is great for a real variety of planners, and Paperchase often has Filofax planners, which you've probably heard of, and inserts, so they also do their own planners as well. I've owned a couple of Paperchase planners in the past. Also, like, here's an example of one I got from Flying Tiger, which was like £8. So you definitely can get some decent planners from other shops for a lot cheaper. So I'd recommend starting with something like this and working your way up if you can. I'd also suggest before you buy a planner that you make a list of what you actually would like and need your planner to do before you get one. So I've given a suggestion here. So the first major question is, what are you actually trying to do, plan, organise or track with this planner? Because do you want it to be your weekly spread? Do you need a family planner? Do you need a meal planner? Do you need an academic planner? Like, you need to think about what you actually want to be marking down in this planner, because that's probably going to dictate the type of planner you go for. Then the next thing to think about is, do you want to have weekly, monthly, daily spreads, or a mixture? Because Tilly does planners with all three, so there definitely are options, but you need to think about the ways you think you could record your information. One of the things I would say is don't repeat information in planners. It just doesn't work. If you have a really functional digital system right now, you don't really want to replicate that in a physical one. So you need to think about having different content. I also don't duplicate between my monthly and my weekly spreads. So in my monthly, I forward write my plans, and I wouldn't go back and fill it in if I didn't have something. So if something ended up being in my weekly, I wouldn't backfill it into my monthly. Some people use monthlies as a way of memory planning. So they like to record stuff they did on that day and make it decorative. So there's loads of different ways you can do it, but don't repeat information would be something I would say, because at some point the information is going to get lost. Then have a think about, particularly if you want a weekly spread, whether a vertical or a horizontal layout would work better for you. Then think about portability. It's important. Do you need a smaller planner that's lighter to carry around, or do you need something bigger with more space? I know that some people have two planners. So one that is much lighter that they carry around every day, and then they have a planner that sits like at home on their desk. I tried to do that, but smaller planners don't work for me. So I just carry really heavy planners around with me. And that is maybe not the smartest, but that's what works for me. So you have to think about what you think would be good for you. Also have a think about how much flexibility you need. So do you want to have loads of sections, in which case a rings or a disc planner might work better for you? If you're happy with just maybe having weekly and monthly, potentially daily, then Coil planner could be better for you. So think about how much flexibility you need to constantly be moving stuff, or if a set order would be better. What sort of binding do you think you would like? Are you like me, that you want to be able to fold your planner back on itself and write on it? Do you want it to lay flat? Do you prefer it to be a book style? Would you like the flexibility of rings? So try and think about that if you can. And then, do you want to start a new planner in January, or do you need an academic planner? I would say our community is pretty split. A lot of people, I personally am someone who likes a new planner in January, but I also often want a new one in July because I work in education, and so I do work on an academic year. So you need to think about when starting a new planner makes the most sense for you. When is your fresh start? Is it when the new year comes in, or is it the new academic year? What do you plan to record in the planner? So is it just plans? Do you need a space for to-do lists? Do you need a space for meal planning? Are you tracking things for your family? Some really good planners, which I've had from WH Smith before, are like family planners, where you have a column for each member of your family. So that could be a really useful thing for you. And ultimately, it may be you actually need more than one planner. So some people do have different planners for different things: meal planning, health planning, spirituality, house planning, content planning, your studies. The list is kind of endless. If you're new to planning, I don't recommend getting a separate planner for everything though, because the chances of you getting overwhelmed and using none of them is pretty high. So maybe start with one if you're new and you don't think you definitely need a few different ones, and then work out over time, actually, I would like to be able to meal plan in a lot more detail. Maybe I do need a separate planner. I think so often we jump into buying a planner before we actually think about what we'd like. So if you can find printable layouts online, it can also help you to work out what sort of style would be good for you. So the Moxie Life Planner, which doesn't ship to the UK, I've had to get an American Morgue box, which is a lot of effort and still expensive with shipping and customs, and who knows what's going to happen when everything changes in January. So I wouldn't really recommend this for being new to the community. But they have free printables for vertical and horizontal layouts on their website, which aren't hugely different from a lot of the other planners that are out there. So maybe start there and have a look at their printables and just practice whether you like writing down or across, and that could help you figure some stuff out. And some other websites may have free printables as well. So I've touched on using your planner a bit already, but we do need to consider what supplies you might need when it comes to the planner. So the first, and to be honest, only compulsory thing you actually need is a pen or a pencil. Some kind of writing tool is the only thing you actually need to have a planner, okay? The black versus blue ink debate is a pretty big one here in the community, though I do think the majority of us favour the black pen. You can definitely just use a normal biro or a pencil. You definitely don't need a fancy pen, but you might prefer the way that certain ones write, like gel pens versus fine liners. Pick something that works for you. I personally use the Frixon erasable pens because I make mistakes all the time, and I am a bit of a perfectionist, so I need to be able to rub stuff out rather than cross it out. However, it does leave a little bit of the writing behind. It's not perfect, and one of my amazing followers from Australia said they don't work over there because of the heat, so they're not perfect for everyone, okay? But for me, that's my preference. But a lot of people like gel pens or ink pens. You might want to add some highlighters in, so you might want to try a few different ones, but honestly, you can just use a plain old biro. There are a few other supplies that you might want to invest in, like whiteout. So it's a bit like Tipex. My whiteout's downstairs, but it's a bit like Tipex. But I use Tombow, which you can get from Amazon, and that's what you'll probably see a lot of us use, which I personally prefer over Tipex. So that might be something you want. The use of whiteout is if there's quite a lot of ink printed on the page and you want to maybe putting stickers there, or the wording they've used doesn't right for you, you can white it out and write over it. So that's kind of what we use that for. It might be that you want different colour pens. It might be that you want some highlighters. This is much more individual to each person and something you don't really actually need to get started. So the pen is important. If you want the other things, they're kind of additional. I only started having whiteout this year, and that was only in maybe March. So it wasn't something I've had for the majority of time I've been in the community. I've gone through various different highlighters. I mostly use stickers, so I don't really need highlighters, and I don't like using different coloured pen. I only like using black ink, but there's definitely a whole range of stuff that works in the community. If you're new here, I'm part guessing that you may have found your way to my channel because you're interested in sticker planning. So before I start taking you down this very expensive rabbit hole, let me first tell you that the most important thing is that you use your planner. If using stickers mean your planner stops being functional, then put the stickers down, okay? Stickers are I love this hobby, okay? Please don't think I'm putting you off, because I love this hobby. It's my main hobby. It's brought me so many amazing people. I love being in this community. But using stickers in my planner makes me more functional. If it doesn't work for you, you've got to get rid. You've got to go back to the basics. So think about it before you invest a lot of money in it. So there are a few different types of stickers. So firstly, I should say you can just buy stickers from Paper Chase or WH Smiths, etc., and use those functionally or decoratively in your planner. Okay, you definitely can just use stickers you can ordinarily get. What I do is beyond that. So I shop with Etsy and individual sticker shop owners in the UK and around the world to decorate my planner. So I use weekly kits to decorate each week in my planner, and they're different themes. Sometimes they match the season, sometimes they're just anytime kits. So this is my anytime kits, but I do have ones for spring, summer, autumn, winter, and you can check out my sticker storage video. It gives you a pretty good indication of how big my sticker collection is. So I'd recommend having a look at that. But there's a load of different stickers you can use. Sometimes they're little character stickers, either humans or animals doing different tasks. There's so many different. I couldn't cover the whole range of stickers that exist, but just watching YouTubers do plan with me is a really useful way to understand the whole variety of stickers that are out there. I list my favorite shops in the descriptions of all my plan with me videos, and if you watch my sticker haul videos and anyone else's, they're also a great way to see what different shops have. And I mostly feature UK shops, but you know, if you're not based in the UK, maybe watch some YouTubers from your own country as well, so that you can get an idea of what's available maybe a bit more cheaply and local to you. Sticker hauls are a great way to see different sticker shops have, and some of the YouTubers will have codes. So like they're what's known as a PR code. So some of us rep for some of the shops. So I rep for Plannerface, and I have a code which means that anyone who uses my code in that shop can save a certain amount. So, and lots of other YouTubers and Instagram accounts will have some kind of codes where you can get discounts, and I always recommend trying to shop for a discount if you can. I don't often shop without some kind of discount, because most shops will have somebody on a PR team who you can get a code from, or they have a code for being in their Facebook group, or they'll have a code listed on their Instagram, or they will participate in sales. So I'm filming this on Cyber Monday, and Black Friday and Cyber Monday are huge in this community, and it's a great way to save money or spend a load of money in my case, but you can definitely save a lot of money from shops as well. So if you want to wait it out for a sale, I would absolutely understand that. I am kind of a lot of the time known as the queen for waiting out for a sale. I should probably, as a caveat at this point, point out that planning can become a bit of an expensive hobby. Stickers add up if you're going to decorate your planner every week, so do make the most of PR codes and sales. If you're in the UK, start off shopping with UK shops to save money on shipping, and they'll ship to you a lot faster than somewhere abroad. Like I would personally recommend starting with Plannerface, because I started shopping with Anna nearly 5 years ago. The Plump Planner is a great place to start because she has quite cheap kits compared to other shops, because they're slightly different formats. But a lot of us UK YouTubers will primarily promote UK shops, so I'd absolutely recommend watching our sticker hauls so you can find out more about different places that you could shop, or just ask us. We'd happily recommend them. I would always be happy if somebody asked me. And remember, you don't need to compare your planner or your sticker collection to everyone else's. Most of the people in this community have been building their collection for years, okay? My collection is nearly 5 years old, so don't compare how many stickers you have compared to how many I have. Please don't. And to be honest, stickers are stickers, and they can lose stickiness. So saving stickers for 5 years, they may not stick as well as they were going to 5 years ago. Stickers were actually not meant for hoarding, so it's much better to have a smaller stash of stickers and use them rather than do maybe what I've done and save stickers forever. Like, I love my planner journey, but if I could start it again, I would spend more time researching, and I would buy less. Like, I'm in a bit of a cycle now where I need to use the kits I have, but everyone's releasing kits I love, which means I want to use those instead. And then I have kits that I have never used. They get pushed out of my lineup every time. So I know that in 2021, I need to be more intentional about my planner sticker shopping, and I hope that you will join me on that journey. You can save money by using printable stickers, which you can buy from Etsy and from individual planner shops who may not be on Etsy or have an additional place to shop like Shopify. Some of these you can cut by hand, but as somebody who used to do this when I first started in the community, it's really time consuming. It's a great way if you're really not sure. Printables are way cheaper. You can buy a weekly kit which might cost you £12-13 from a shop for like £2 printable, but I have come to the conclusion that in the main, paying someone else to do the work for me and cutting the sticker is better. It just saves me time. It means I can focus on planning and not on cutting the stickers. But I do buy some printables, but I now have a Silhouette, which is the machine that you use to cut stickers. But it's a bit complicated to learn, I'll be honest, and Silhouettes aren't cheap. And probably that needs a whole video of its own, and I could maybe do that at some point, though I don't think it will happen in Vlogmas. But there are loads of videos on YouTube about understanding the software, so you can do it. But you can just buy printables and cut them by hand. Many of the shops that offer printables, you can do that. It's just, it works fine for maybe the full boxes, but intricate little flags, it's a pain. I'm telling you, it is a pain. But it is a great way to save money if that's something that you want to do. So then the only thing you would need to buy then is you would need to buy sticker paper, which you can get from Amazon or from, I was about to say Staples, because that's where I used to get mine from, but Staples isn't a thing anymore. So probably mostly Amazon. And then you need ink for your printer. For me, we've only just got a printer where the ink is bearable. We used to have a printer where the ink just went so quickly, and so I was spending more money on ink than if I'd bought the kit from somebody else. I would rather, you know, I'm friends with a lot of people in the community. I like supporting their small businesses, so I like to shop from them. But obviously I understand not everybody's in a position to do that, and printables are a fantastic way to save money if you can put the energy into the time. So above all else, we now need to think about how you're actually going to use your planner. So Instagram and YouTube are great places to get inspiration and see what other people do, but do think about what I said earlier about what the purpose of your planner actually is for you and the different things you might want to include, as it will really help you work out how you need to use your planner. The idea is that you probably want to be looking at your planner a lot, so it needs to have sections that make sense to you. Stickers might help you want to look at your planner more. It does for me. And they may help you separate your content. You may have different types of stickers that work for different things, and that's a really great visual tool for you. Working out how to use my planner has honestly been complete trial and error for me over the years, and I'm still thinking about changing my setup again. I think it will be something I continuously learn. And that's part of my personality. I'm never really happy to settle, even if I'm happy. So, but I wish I would. I wish I would just pick a style and stick with it, because it is when I'm most functional. Ideally, you probably want to choose a planner that you actually use to plan as you go. So a lot of us have ended up using our planners as memory planners. Basically a really pretty scrapbook, and I definitely have a planner that's that. A lot of the plan with me's on my channel are my memory planner, and it is great. I love my memory planner. It's a fantastic way to look back on memories of the year. I much prefer it to scrapbooking, which I'm not creative enough for scrapbooking. The downside is that only having a memory planner isn't actually going to make you more organized. Maybe that's controversial to say it, but if you only use a memory planner, that doesn't work. And that's where I've changed my planner setup this year, because I basically was only using a memory planner, and that doesn't actually make me productive. So you might, if you also have a memory planner, you might need to plan in another way. So maybe that's with to-do lists. It could be digital planning, which could just be your calendar, you know, Outlook or Gmail. It could be using productivity tools like Asana or Trello. Anything that basically means you're not keeping everything in your head, because that isn't going to make you more productive. And that is absolutely the thing that I have learned this year. I guess what I'm also trying to say here is your planner might not be enough on its own. So I don't use a work planner. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I don't use one. My Outlook calendar runs my work day, all my events and to-dos are in there, because it doesn't make sense for me to write them again somewhere else. And that would be one of my biggest tips. I mentioned it earlier, but just to repeat, your planner shouldn't repeat information from somewhere else. If you have a digital system that works, your paper one shouldn't repeat it, because one day you'll forget to write an event, been there, or a to-do item in one of the systems, and everything is going to go out the window. So each planner, whether that's digital, your task list, whatever, each of those things need to serve a purpose, and you need to use them all together to make you productive.
Okay, so now it's time to say what the rest of my community have said. So I reached out on Instagram and asked some of my amazing friends to give their advice on what they wish they'd known, or their biggest tips for new people to our community. So I really hope you're going to find this useful, and I'm so grateful to each and every one of them for contributing to this video. I'm going to be linking to all of their Instagram/YouTube accounts, if they have one, in the description down below, so please consider going and giving them a follow, because they're all amazing. And I have to say, and I know I said it at the beginning of this video, but being part of the planner community is honestly one of the best things about having a planner. Some of my closest friends now are people I have never met in real life, and I never thought I would really be that person, but I can definitely say it now. I'm I talk to some of these people every day, and that is amazing. I know so much more about their lives, and it's fantastic. And I would recommend getting involved in the community as much as you can. Comment on the Instagram posts or the YouTube videos of people in the community that you follow. Even if you think their channel is too big for you to comment, it's not. Your comment will still mean so much to them, and 9 times out of 10 they're still going to reply to you. And I love every single comment I get. I mean, I'm not a big YouTuber or an Instagram account or anything like that, but every single comment from anyone means so much to me. So, you know, do engage with people. I've met people just by chatting to people. You know, I've got like one of my friends on Instagram is from Canada. Like, I've never met Alex. We just became friends because we randomly started chatting on Instagram, and it is so great. And that's the lovely thing about this community. So do chat to people. Join Facebook groups of the shops that you love, because they will likely have a community there. Plannerface has a lovely community of people in her Facebook group, and she also created a Discord channel where some of us are over there. And if you're in Anna's group or you join Anna's group, please feel free to come join us over on Discord. We're a lovely group of people, and we chat every day and we talk to each other. We're sharing Christmas cards this year. Like, it's so lovely being part of that community. So I'd recommend joining things like that as much as you can. It may also be that you join the Patreon. So I have joined Plan with Laken's Patreon, and she has a community of people who are very supportive. So there's lots of great ways to make friends in this community. So let's see what my lovely friends had to say about all of this. So first we have Your World of Colour. This lovely, fantastic human owns a shop as well. So definitely go and check her stuff out, and I will link to everything down below. And her comment was, she wishes she'd known how expensive it can be. Oh, and the enabling from others, even if it's not planning, for example, wax melts. And this was aimed directly at me. And it's because we're such a community of friends, we share things other than planning, and wax melts was a big thing a few months ago, and it's still pretty big, but it maybe has dropped off a little bit. And I have enabled many people with my wax melt hauls, and you can go check those out on my channel. But that's an additional thing that a lot of us share now, is an interest in wax melts, and it's just another thing that brings us together. So I love that comment because it was directly aimed at me, and it's but that's one of the great things about this community. It's absolutely a join for planning, stayed for the life stuff kind of thing. The next person is the lovely musical Muppet. So don't buy all the stickers and don't get drawn into all the sales. Instead, think about what a week typically looks like, then look for shops that match you. Also be aware of the customs fees. Are the pretty kits really worth an extra £25? This is great advice. So it follows on a lot of what I've said, but don't try and make something work just because you think it would look great. Really think about what would benefit your planning style. And the custom fees is a good one for especially us UK people. Unless you're shipping to some kind of forwarding mailbox service, if you have something from the US shipped straight to the UK, and at the moment, if that is over £15, you're going to get customs on it. Shipping from the US is also usually a minimum of £11, which is pretty expensive for shipping. And then from January, customs is changing and stuff's going to get more expensive. So I would recommend, if you can, and I've tried to do this as much as possible, and I've only just started being tempted by US stuff, but try and stick with the stuff in your country if you can, because the customs fees are a lot. And a lot of the shops, you'll find that sticker shops use artwork that's usually available on Etsy. It's digital artwork that they then turn into planner stickers. And a lot of the time, the shops will use the same art. So you might see a US shop do it, and a UK shop may use the same art. So you would be, you know, the kit's not going to look exactly the same. They don't. But it's a good way of art you love, trying to use it with someone that's going to be a lot cheaper. It's definitely not the case for everything. There is absolutely some stuff that you just can't get. If a shop is doing custom art that they've had specifically drawn for them, you're not going to be able to get that somewhere else. And that's the toughest thing for me. Like scribble prints, codes, mystery kits, I would love to get them. It's custom art I can't get over here, but I just can't justify the cost. There's also a lot of shops that will do hand-drawn stuff and you can't replicate that. So it isn't the case for everything, but if you can try and save some money somewhere, that's a good recommendation. So the next one is Natalie Ra Plans, who I've mentioned a few times during this video, but her comment is, let your planner style evolve over time. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to work for you. Why are you so much more eloquent than me? But I hope that that echoes what I have said. I actually think that Natalie is a really good example of this as well, because her planner style is very unique compared to other people's, and she has managed to grow. I'm genuinely so proud of her, but she has grown such an amazing following on Instagram and YouTube this year by showing her planner, and it's very individual for her. She does so much creative planning. There's so much sticker trimming that has to happen to use her planner, and she does it so freaking well. And she is proof that doing your own thing can still gain you a lot of popularity in this community. So I think that's a fantastic comment from a fantastic person. Then we have lovely Tilly, who I've mentioned a few times in this video as well, who says what she would say to other people is that you don't need to buy everything, buy a little and see how you plan first. Honestly, so true. And I will hold my hands up as somebody who buys everything at the beginning and spends a lot of money before I even know if I'm going to like something. And it's something that I've really come to terms with in 2020, particularly as I think I use shopping as like retail therapy for how this year is going. But it's definitely something to consider, that you don't know that some expensive planner or stickers, etc., is going to work for you. So definitely think about it before you purchase. And now, finally, from my source of all wisdom, my amazing friend Dania, who is Tweety Pie Plans over on Instagram. And she gave 3 different comments to this because she's amazing. So, I'm still managing this now, but you don't need to buy everything that catches your eye. Dania and I talk about this all the time, and we're holding each other accountable in 2021. Sales are always happening. If you can't afford it, just wait. Patience is a virtue. Take inspiration from others, but try not to compare. Again, said it more eloquently than me. Start small, buy small, and figure out what works for you. Give each thing a chance before hopping to the next, and don't be afraid to get creative. Do what feels right for you, regardless of what everyone else might be doing. Trends come and go. Unless you're already there, don't jump on any bandwagon. All great advice so far, but there's still more. Oh, one more. Buy sampler sheets. They're a great way to test a design and shop quality without major investment. And that's something I've not touched on at all. I feel like everyone else, we've kind of said the same thing. So hopefully what I'm saying, you think, okay, well, everyone said it, so it must be a thing. But that's a really great suggestion from Dania. And I think she does this particularly well, that if you're shopping from somewhere new, if they have any kind of samplers, then that's a great way to try their stuff, or just buy something small and try it out before you invest loads of money. Just because somebody else loves it doesn't mean you will. For example, in the US, most people use glossy paper. Most of us in the UK don't. Most of us don't like glossy paper. It's so weird. There's a divide by the sea, but we don't. Whereas everyone in the US uses glossy. And so you could end up buying from a shop, investing loads of money, and you don't like the paper quality. So it's just something you need to think about, making sure that you don't overbuy and then underuse. And that's it for this video. I really hope you found this useful. I really enjoyed making this. I thought about a lot what I was going to say, and I know I haven't covered everything, but I think I covered everything that I wish I had known 5 years ago. And I definitely wish that I had something like this to watch when I started. Maybe it would have saved me some money over time. I would never change anything I've done. I love everything I bought. I love everything I learned, but I could have been so much more organized about it than I have been. But I have to say, there is so much joy in being in this community, researching and trial and error. You know, a lot of the time you can sell on stuff you don't use. That's called destashing, and it's something that a lot of us do. So a lot of the time you won't make your money back. That's not the point of destashing, but you can make some money back if there's stuff that you really don't want to use, and there's a lot of great Facebook groups for that. So that is something to consider, but it is still worth not overbuying in the first place. And my kind of final main tip is just remember that all of this is supposed to make you more productive. Doing this for the social media accounts is not the right way to go about it. And that is something I've had to come to terms with, that my planner needs to be, for me, it needs to be functional. It needs to make me organized and not stressed and overwhelmed and not coping. And so it's really important that my planner does that first. Anything else that it does on social media, whether that's gaining me Instagram followers or a YouTube community or anything like that, is secondary to being functional. And something I've learned is that people will go with you depending on what your style is. Like, being unique, actually often people find that really interesting more than they do just watching the same thing that everyone else does. So do what is right for you. That's the most important thing. Lead your organized life and the other stuff will follow. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a like, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and joining the little family that we have over here. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the videos that are going to be going up during Vlogmas, still assuming that I complete the whole thing. I really appreciate all of your support on all of these videos. And then just a reminder, if you want to see anything else that I do, you can always follow me over on Instagram at peace.love.plan. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!